All right, everybody. I want to welcome everyone to our weekly episode of Conversations with Commodores. And it is not a poster, it is the real deal. We have our athletics director, Candice Story Lee, with us this evening. Candice, thank you for joining and carving out a little time for us tonight.
Of course, Bernard. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. And guys, you know all about Candice's story. You know of her accolades and how well she represents our school. Did you know that she is in the Bob Jones High School Sports Hall of Fame? It wouldn't surprise you at all knowing her on the court talents and what she did at Vanderbilt. But that's where I want to start, Candice. Madison, Alabama. Talk to us a little bit about Bob Jones and growing up in Madison in North Alabama.
Oh, I would love to because I love to brag about. So people will be like, "Are you from Huntsville?" I'm like, "No, I'm from Madison." And so I'm really specific about that. But my father retired active duty from the Army when I was a freshman here. We had moved all over the world and ended up in Huntsville when I got to middle school, and I went to high school in Madison. And that was when we got to Huntsville, or when we got to Madison, that was the first time that my parents, that's the first time that we didn't live on an Army base. And so my family bought their first home at that time. And I just fell in love with Madison. It's an amazing community and they embraced us. And to me, it represents the place where we actually got to put down some roots. Now, my parents are both from Alabama. They met at Alabama A&M. So they were already familiar with the area and they are still there. They've both retired, but that is without a doubt, that's home. And I feel like the way that the community embraced me and embraced my family, I think that it plays a big role in sort of how I invest in community now. It set a very nice tone for me.
Well, it's such a wonderful part of our state. And for those who don't know, Alabama A&M is in the Huntsville area. Were your parents by chance at Alabama A&M the same time as John Stallworth, my favorite all-time football player?
My father was. And
awesome.
And now John Stallworth and his family live directly across the street from my parents. So their neighborhood is directly across the street. And yes.
I need to talk to your parents sometime.
Okay, I will connect you with Lieutenant Colonel Story. I will connect you with him.
I would be honored.
And Angela.
One of our mutual buddies, OJ Fleming, says to tell you hello.
Hi, OJ.
It says keep up the outstanding work. And Pat Fitch, I don't know if you know Pat. Pat's from Dothan and was student.
Yes, I do. Hi, Pat. Thank you.
Pat was one of my offensive linemen. I outweighed him by 10 pounds, but he was my blindside tackle my senior year. And then he was the first African-American student body president at Vanderbilt in, Pat, help me out here, 87, 88. I can't remember the year, but anyway.
Well, I certainly know of Pat. I do feel like as alums, right? As fellow alums, we know the names, we know the faces, even if we weren't in school at the same time, there's this thread that connects us. And so I feel like I know him well because I certainly know the name and know some of his stories. So thank you.
Excellent. Well, very good. Very good. When did sports become important to you?
I have been tall for my age. I was tall for my age growing up. And for me, I tried many different sports. So I like to clarify, I was not a great athlete. I was a pretty good basketball player. Not a great athlete. There is a difference. But my father, when I was in the 7th grade, went to Desert Storm. And I wanted to play basketball. I had played a little bit, but there was an AAU team that I wanted to join, but my father was not home. And I did not want to leave my mom. She was caring for my younger brother and working full time. And, that can be hard when you're an Army family and someone is deployed. And so I put off playing basketball until my dad was home safely. And I remember that when he returned from Desert Storm, I sort of felt free to try this basketball thing. And I was not very good to start. I think in the 8th grade, I was about 6'1.5". So I was tall, and sort of learned to kind of put all the pieces together. And I realized that I was pretty good at it, but it also just gave me some confidence. And, my parents are both tall. They taught me to stand up straight. They taught me to be proud of who I was, but being on the court kind of just gave me a different level of confidence. And I think it was probably about the 10th grade or so that I thought, well, maybe this is something I could do in college. Academics were really important to us, so I knew I was going to college, but certainly basketball opened up some additional doors for me.
Well, I was going to say, but any sports as a youth, if you find some success, it brings on confidence, and maybe that helps you off the court as well, academically, or maybe within your social circles. But you're at one of the biggest high schools in our state, and you're playing a sport that is so visible. There's only 5 of you on the court, and you're not hiding behind a mask or something like that. So clearly, you made your mark athletically, academics as well. You got on the radar of Vanderbilt, but why Vanderbilt as opposed to other schools that you may have gone to?
I feel fortunate that I was recruited by, a number of places, but I was really looking for the combination of the high academics, high athletics. And the summer before my senior year, came to Vanderbilt and was in elite camp. And Jim Foster was a coach at that time, and that's who I played my whole career for here. And he offered me a scholarship at the end of camp. I did not think twice about it. I said yes on the spot. I went home and canceled my other official visits because to me, it represented, much like it does now, like the best of both worlds. I wanted to be in the SEC. I didn't want to be too far from home. Family is very important to me. And then the chance to have a Vanderbilt degree, it speaks for itself. And I really like the environment that the women's basketball program, the culture that they had created. And so, I didn't even have to think twice about it.
Well, for those of you who don't know, not only did Candice get her undergraduate degree, but she went triple degree with the school. And I know it wasn't consecutive. I know that you had other things you were doing along the way, but what was it about playing at Vanderbilt that made you the most proud, either then or now as you reflect back and you're in the position, you're in such a visual position representing our school on so many different things?
I think much like all of us who are like athletes coming in, probably a star or certainly among the best at your high school, and you think you're going to come to college and do the same thing, right? I think that's what we all think. I think the thing that I'm most proud of is I suffered a number of knee injuries. I actually just had knee surgery 6 weeks ago that is sort of part of that cumulative effect. I've had 6 knee surgeries. I've had a knee replacement already. Wow. I was injured probably more often than not. And the thing that I'm proud of is that I figured out how to have an impact, how to be a part of a winning culture, how to make a difference, even when limited. And even though I was no more than a role player, I learned how to overcome and to turn those into positives. It was not easy. I think I call upon those same lessons now in the work that I do every day. I think I also have a story that I can share with young people that sometimes things are not going to turn out the way that you think, but you can turn it into something beautiful. And Vanderbilt taught me that, and being a part of this program taught me that. And also, I'm just proud of the relationships. Like, I loved being a Vanderbilt women's basketball player. I love my teammates. I still love them. We keep in touch, and it was a very challenging time, but it was a really special time.
Well, you found a lot of success in high school. You found success enough to be signed and come play at Vanderbilt, and you start getting some game action. It doesn't all go the way that we envision us leading the team and scoring or whatever it may be, but you don't have to be the leading this or the leading that on the scoreboard to be a leader on the team. You were named captain, and there's so many outstanding athletes that are terrible leaders. They're moody. They don't know how to lead. They yell. That's all they know, or whatever their personality lends to it. I think the most valuable person, whether it's on a sports field or in an athletics department or in a chemistry lab, is that person who gets along with everybody and figures out where we're going and then helps to get everybody there. And I think sports just is so valuable in teaching those lessons. And what I think, and this is a little bit of a rah-rah on my part, so forgive me. One thing that I think the athletics department that you guys are doing and have been doing for the last several years is you're selling the city, you're selling the education, you're selling the experiences, but it's not hollow because you have such, I don't know how to properly say this, you have such integral and important people in their positions of leadership now that what I'm seeing in our group, and I'm hoping we're going to get this in the comments, even though we haven't played a single down under Coach Lee yet, there's more optimism. There's more season tickets from former players. There's more, I want to be on campus or go meet Coach Lee or see what's going on than in the last 30 years that I can ever recall. Now, from the inside, what are you seeing about the outside, if you will, of the general public toward that?
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that. That's how I'm experiencing it too. But it's nice to hear you affirm that. Right before jumping on this, I was outside meeting with some alumni who were on our practice field with Coach Lee and his staff, and just the level of engagement and interest from alumni. Like when I talk about being in this position, I feel, I think I've always put a lot of pressure on myself, but I feel a lot of pressure to make sure that what we're doing is something that alumni can be proud of. I feel immense pressure and a responsibility. So I mean it in a good way, like responsibility to make sure that everybody who has come through here is proud to be affiliated with it. And we have a lot of work to do. Like I will never, I think the people that know me will tell you, like I will be very honest about where I think that we need to improve. And I will take feedback, and I welcome that. But it's wonderful to see, because just when I was just outside, I saw people that I went to school with that I have not seen in years. I don't know that they felt, maybe they didn't feel welcome. Maybe they didn't feel connected or embraced. They're here now. And that means a lot to me. That means a lot. It means a great deal to me. And I am excited about Clark Lee. I think that everything, hiring is always a risk. It's always a risk, right? Because you just really don't know until the person gets in and you actually see what the results are. But I felt during the search process that he was the right leader at this time. And we haven't played a down yet, like you said.
Yeah.
But what I see is student athletes who are really engaged and excited. And I ask them, when I see our football players, I ask them how they're doing and what's going on and how they feel. I see alumni who are excited. So, that includes sidewalk alumni and fans and just people right here in this city who perhaps didn't feel like they had something to cheer for before. And so I do think we're trending in the right direction. We have some work to do, but I see the same things that you described, Bernard.
I'm not going to say in the last several decades that there has been a negative vibe coming out of Magoogan. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is there's been an absence of welcoming that there is now. And it's been so desperately needed for all these years. And maybe it's just the right time at the right place. Chancellor Dearmeyer seems to be the man who really engages in the importance of sports. And with you coming along, and I know you've had a real journey within the athletics department that we're not going to go into that history, but you're there now leading us. And I hope, for me, I hope this is the job you retire from. I really do.
I appreciate that, Bernard. And I'm happy to talk about anything you want. So
Certainly.
I do want to be clear that everything's fair game to me, right? I'm happy to talk about anything that you want. I would say that, this is my 25th year at Vanderbilt, and that includes being a student athlete. And even someone who has been in it, I did not feel connected as an alum.
Yeah.
And so think about that, right? So, and I have been here. So, and there are, I don't spend time, I don't want to disparage anybody. That's not my style. There are so many reasons why things sort of happen the way that they do. Nothing is just as simple, right? there are so many contributing factors, but I would say that that's one of the things I knew had to be a priority was how we engage our alums. And because I didn't feel it. So if I don't feel it and I'm right here, then of course, who else? I mean, you're not going to feel that either.
Well, I can only speak from my experience. I can share some of what I'm hearing from our group.
Sure.
I graduated in 90. I have gone to games throughout the years, whether they're in the state of Alabama, if they played Alabama Auburn, or I've gone up to Nashville. And I'm a little bit ashamed of this, but I'm so proud of where we are now. This is the first year I've ever bought season tickets. And I am so looking forward to coming up there for just seeing the former players from all different years, hearing Coach Lee. I mean, I've got the spirit, I guess is what I would say. Yeah. And not everybody feels the way I feel. There a lot of people are guardedly optimistic in that, let's see what the product looks like, of course. But we're playing in the toughest conference in the country, and it'll come. But what I like about his approach, what I like about the athletics department approach is it's welcoming everybody back into the fold. And Candice, I know that for various reasons, people get sideways with the program. They feel upset, their feelings get hurt. They'll come around at some point. But what I like, I guess what I would ask you, and then I'll pivot to something else, is if I haven't been involved with the program, if I haven't donated, come up to school, I haven't done anything, but now I'm starting to get interested. Mm-hmm. What's the best way to start engaging more with the programs, whether I was a bowler or a football player, whatever sport it was, or even if I never played a sport? How am I going to get more engaged with the athletics department?
So let me start first with, as former student athletes, so you may be familiar with the Black and Gold Club. That is an initiative that we launched during the pandemic, which I understand is not ideal, but we didn't want to wait. That is our Student Athlete Alumni Association, if you will. Mm-hmm. So it is, if you competed here in a sport for any period of time, whether we currently sponsor the sport or not, or if you were part of the Spirit Squad, or if you were part of the band, then you are part of the Black and Gold Club. We did a soft launch, and I don't even know if soft launch is not fair. We started the program during this year, but again, because it was during COVID, I know there were some things that we had planned that we couldn't do. Chris Griffin, he is a former football player, he is the director of the Black and Gold Club. Incredible, very invested, cares deeply. I would say that is a great way, if you are a former student athlete, to get involved. Like, we are going to have a full launch in July, and there will be some very strategic outreach coming, but you have the opportunity to get complimentary tickets, to be invited to special events, to engage with our current student athletes. You'll be able to post jobs. I mean, there will be a lot of things. And this is about engagement. Mm-hmm. This is not about us wanting your money. This is not, I mean, certainly if you want to donate, we will take it, but that's not what this is about. This is about us understanding that this is long overdue, that this is your home, that you invested a lot of time here, and that you deserve to stay engaged. And we want you to be proud of it. And so I am really, really proud of the work that Chris is doing. So he and I both leave for Omaha tomorrow at different times, but we're doing a Black and Gold Club event in Omaha on Sunday morning at Top Golf. That's just an example of some things that we want to do. There are some natural opportunities. We will manufacture other opportunities, but we are serious about connecting everyone. I would say the other way is we're trying to have a greater presence on social media and just the way that we engage externally. But also, if you want to know, you just pick up the phone and call us, or you walk in here. I mean, this needs to be a welcoming place. I want our department, right, to reflect what I hope I am. And I hope that is someone who people feel comfortable engaging with and do feel like, you're valuable. That's what we want. So we've got some work to do. I know I've spent probably much of the last year listening to people's stories. Some of them are war stories. I quickly learned that part of stepping into this role, it means that you inherit all the decisions that come with the seat, whether you made them or not. And of course, I mean, I've only made decisions for the last year and 1 month. So, but it's part of it. And I understand that.
Sure, sure. And Chris has been on this show and he's talked to us, and we've promoted the Black and Gold Club.
Thank you.
One of the things I know that I recently saw is some success stories with football players being paired up with internships.
Yes.
And that's as valuable as it gets, because that can lead to not just the next 4 years, but the next 40 to 50 years potentially.
Right.
I've also had Beverly Brothers on this show. And
wonderful.
If anybody's been around the program in the last 4 decades, you certainly know who Beverly Brothers. June Jakes has been on the show. And the reason why I bring all these people up is not only do they bleed the black and gold, but they so desperately want to see what's going on right now succeed.
That's right.
And I got to take a short. Corey Harris says to tell you hello.
Hi, Corey.
And Everett Robinson. So proud of my big sis.
Thank you, Everett. Thank you so much.
Guys, of course, I'm talking with Candice Story Lee, our athletics director, and we're just having a general talk. But where I want to pivot a little bit, we're desperate to see some new photos, some development, some construction. We got a little preview of what the lockers look like from a conceptual standpoint. Then we saw a photo or two of what one of the lockers looks like. When do we get the next step? When do we see what's next?
It's coming. So our football team actually has not seen the locker room yet.
Okay.
So yesterday I was talking with one of them and I said, how you like that new locker room? He said, oh, Miss Candice, Coach Lee says for us to sit tight, it's going to happen this week. So that was yesterday.
Okay.
So, and I say that just to say that we will go public after our kids see it.
I was going to say,
Coach Lee has a very, he's very methodical in how he approaches things, and everything that these kids get, they're earning. And he's really clear, right, about where they sort of fit into his system. I mean, this is part of a large strategy. And so I would just say that once our kids see it, then we will make sure everyone else sees it. But I mean, I am blown away by the locker room. I cannot believe it's the same space. It's incredible. And I'm so proud because it's like the home and the hub that these kids deserve. And it's just a first step, right? We have a lot of work to do. It's just a first step. You probably know that we launched a big facility and fundraising campaign at the end of March. We've been working with this award-winning, like world-renowned design firm, Populous. They have been on campus quite a bit. I was in a long meeting with them yesterday. They are coming up with some phenomenal ideas and really have like invested in who we are. Like they get us. They get us, not only the us of today, but where we want to go. And we're building up to doing like a public reveal later this summer. But I am telling you, like, I got chills looking at some of the design. I am so excited. And I think that you will be too.
That's so great to hear. Now, I heard a rumor that I'm starting right now that there's going to be a lazy river around Magoogan. Is there any legs to that?
Yeah, I know you're starting that rumor right now. It's funny because we talked about Daniel Dearmeyer, our chancellor, earlier. And I do have to, anytime I talk publicly, I try to talk about him because he has been a tremendous partner. But it made me think of him when you said lazy river, because so whenever we talk, he's like, Candice, look, we're going to get what's what our kids deserve and what reflects all that is great about Vanderbilt. We're not getting a lazy river. He always throws that in. I say, we don't need a lazy river.
That's funny. That's very, very funny.
So I know that you're making that rumor up.
That's right.
That's how I know.
Yeah, I don't have a direct line to the chancellor, but I want to welcome one of our beloved Keystone cops for many years, Billy Smith, former Nashville police detective or captain, was part of the program taking our equipment out of town and just there for decades. Billy listens in almost every Thursday night. Billy's been on the program, so thank you.
Hi, Billy.
For always being there for us, bud. Candice, let's talk a little bit about, we're slowly coming out of the pandemic. Finally, the last 2 weekends, I think it was at the Hawk, we could have the full audience, to be crowd that we so desperately needed there.
Yes.
But where do we stand on campus now with the athletes who are on campus this summer? Are they in some type of protocol, or are we back to some normalcy?
Yeah, so Great question. So yes, I'm glad that you brought up, we were in a really unique position with COVID. Even if you think about us compared to like our SEC peers, we're in a big urban area. Mm-hmm. Also, we're right in the middle of campus. So from a density standpoint, it was just unique. And we had to follow Nashville protocols as well as university protocols. But what we did from an attendance standpoint started with what Nashville was allowing. So with the last two home series at Hawkins, there were no longer any restrictions. And that's why we were able to open it up. And I'm so glad, because you're right. I mean, I can't imagine being a student athlete and playing under the conditions that we saw during COVID. And so I just commend our kids all the time and our coaches for what they did. So now, so the SEC has a medical task force that sets the protocols from a conference standpoint. And then we also had protocols from a university standpoint, but they were in concert with one another. So now if you are vaccinated, you do not have to operate with any protocols. I mean, generally speaking, there are no protocols if you're vaccinated. So we have a good number of our student athletes who are vaccinated. The SEC medical task force set like a parameter, like if a certain number within a team are vaccinated, there are certain things you no longer have to do. So that's dictated by the conference, but Vanderbilt will require all students to be vaccinated for the fall. So we're sort of ahead of the game, and we're just getting ready for that. So things are this summer looks a lot different than last summer, without a doubt.
Well, that's so great to hear. And a lot of people who, when they hear that Vanderbilt had no fans or very small capacity this spring, I don't think they fully appreciated, just the average person didn't appreciate where Vanderbilt sits, where the campus sits, how Nashville was treating it, and all of those. But I'm so glad we are where we are now. 6:00 this Saturday night. I know where you'll be. Will the stadium be open for viewing, or has a decision been made?
So we put out some information yesterday. We are doing, so you probably know we have a number of corporate sponsors. Corner Pub, which I think operates 4 different locations here in town, is one of our trusted sponsors. They are going to be the official headquarters for our watch parties.
Okay.
And so what we've done traditionally is we've done watch parties in Hawkins or in the football stadium for the finals. Mm-hmm. We look forward to doing that again this year, kind of mixing it up a little bit. And because we've got this great partnership with Corner Pub and they are so excited to do it, it also gives our staff just a little break. We're also sending a number of people to Omaha. So it actually works well for us to start with these early games. And we're encouraging people to pick a location, a Corner Pub location, and you will see tons of black and gold there. And then we look forward to opening up for the finals.
Excellent. Well, I love the word you said, traditionally, because with this now being the 5th trip for Coach Corbin in this.
Oh yeah, this is just what we do, right?
This is what we do, and
it's a great thing.
It's a business trip, mm-hmm. And it's too easy. And I know I know this isn't a baseball forum, but I love the Vandy Boys program and have for decades. And I'm going to get to my question after my comment. Is that this is a business trip? These guys have been there. This is a unique year. Last year was obviously the season stopped not even midway, but we're the defending national champs. And boy, that sounds great to say it. And for Coach Corbin to get through all of the injuries this year, my gosh, I don't think he's had a team. The first day, Cooper Davis with the ball to the nose, and then the injuries to the pit. Anyway, long story short, for Coach Corbin to be so experienced, I'm not surprised he guided the program how he has. But here's my question. Coach Corbin's been there 19 years, I believe. Coach Stackhouse is now in his 3rd or 4th year. Coach Lee, 6 months. Those are the 3 of the 4, in my opinion, the 4 biggest media-wise programs. I'm not discounting any of the women's programs, particularly the bowling, which has won national titles, and others. But here's my question. How does communication work between the head coaches of the various varsity programs? Is there communication? Because I know Coach Lee and Coach Corbin do have a relationship.
Yes, no, I am so glad you asked this question, because one of the things I am really proud of is the sense of camaraderie between our head coaches. And I will tell you, I think it's certainly been there in pockets for a long time, but we rediscovered it during COVID. So when everything shut down in March of 2020, it was really important. So I had been interim for like 4 weeks, right? And, at that point, I mean, obviously had never dealt with a global pandemic, wasn't planning on it, trying to figure out how to hold things together. Over communication was key. So I would set this time on Fridays at 4 o'clock. We would have head coach happy hours, what we called it. And we'd hop on Zoom, and I get on Zoom with all 13 of our head coaches. And they started off just like, hey, here's what we know about COVID. Here's what we think's going to happen. Here's when we're going to try to bring kids back. And what evolved was all kinds of professional development and sharing of information. And it was, we took something that was really challenging and turned it into a positive. And I'm telling you, coming out of that, we've been able to see like the implications of that. So, Jerry Stackhouse sang the national anthem last week at Hawkins, and the embrace, to watch Jerry and Tim Corbin embrace each other, to look and see most of our head coaches in the stands. We've got a head coach text thread that anytime somebody does something, I try to be the first to say, even if it's happy birthday or congratulations to Scott Limbaugh on winning the SEC, or congratulations to so-and-so. And I can't even describe it to you. And that's a beautiful thing. And going through, I'm now on my third coach search this year, or in the year that I've been in the position. And one of the things I look for is, how committed are you going to be to this head coach community? Because there's no one else like, so if you're a head coach here, there are 12 other people that know what it's like to do what you do here. So that, I want all of our coaches to have mentors and colleagues, and, that's great. But doing it here is very unique. And they rely on each other. And it has been beautiful to see. And it's authentic. And I'm telling you, it's going to make a difference for us.
Well, look at how many of the football team was at the regionals and the super regionals.
That's right. That's a byproduct of programs respecting each other. Like, that's what that is. You have Coach Corbin, who meets with recruits from other sports.
I was just getting ready to
things like that. I mean, I'm telling you, that is a natural byproduct of people working together and respecting what each other does.
When you see the likes of Mike Wright and Ken C, all those guys on top of the dugout or wherever they were allowed to congregate.
That's right.
It's natural for athletes to befriend each other. I get that. It's one thing to show up at a basketball game when there's 18,000 there, and you might stand out because you're a little bigger than the other guys or whatever. But these guys were leading the cheers. And the Hawk is not that big. It's less than 4,000 people. And I'm hoping that's on your laundry list. I know we're so landlocked, but when you see Arkansas and Mississippi State, big state schools, I get it, with so big of stadiums. Anyway, they're neither here nor there.
My list is pretty long.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
And Christy Houck says you're going to need a bigger boat.
Hi, Christy.
Candice, there's been so many people roll through that I hadn't even been able to get to them, but just trust me, they're there. They're part of the football program, and they're enjoying hearing you speak very candidly. Now, and I want to ask you to tell us, how better can we be involved in the program? How can former former football players, alums, how can we be involved in some way that benefits and doesn't get in the way of what is the plan and what Coach Lee's doing?
So I want you to know that I want you to feel like this is your home. That's important to me. And I mean that. You talked a little bit about it earlier, Bernard, like buying season tickets, supporting our events, supporting the Black and Gold Club, speaking well of our program and our university. The thing that I want, if you have a concern, reach out and give us an opportunity to talk about it and address it. I promise you, there's always more information. Give us a chance to engage with you and know that we're serious about wanting to put out a product that you're proud of. And so I would just say, just naturally engage with us. I would welcome that. And I know Coach Lee does.
But what if I'm one of those, they've let me down all these years. I haven't heard from them in 25 years. I'm tired of it. I don't think, what makes this any different? How are you going to get past that old guy?
Sure. And listen, I do respect people's experiences, right? But I cannot change the past. Mm-hmm. So I try to be clear about that. And that's no disrespect, because I know that, this person that we're talking about, right, or who this person represents, I know that what you experienced was real and it was valid. Mm-hmm. But you got to give me a chance, and you got to give us a chance. That's all I'm asking for, is a chance. And I do, listen, I do not expect perfection from my team, because they need not expect perfection from me. But what they will get from me is like authenticity, hard work, integrity, great effort, transparency. We will give that to you, but we just need an opportunity. And I know that some of the reputation of Vanderbilt athletics is perhaps well earned. There have been missteps, mishaps, I understand that.
And it's that way with all major Power Five or even smaller colleges and universities. Vanderbilt's not unique in its history past.
Sure.
Let me ask you, this goes across all varsity sports. Mm-hmm. What do you see when current student athletes who are in school now playing a sport, when they see the former players who came before them come back to the practices, come back to the games, engage with them in social settings? What kind of an impact is that for the student athlete who's there now?
I mean, it's significant, right? So we talk to our kids all the time about the fact that, like, your time here, this is a finite period of time. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so it's up to you to make the most of it. But there are a lot of people who came before you so that you could have the opportunity that you have. And I think when we have alums come back and they see that, it just brings to life that point. Mm-hmm. Right? Like we are trying to impress upon them the sense of gratitude, because you get to do what you do because of the people who came before. Mm-hmm. And, and I also understand that if you have a positive student athlete experience, then you're going to be a happy alum. This like, all these things are connected. Happy alums then want to invest in the program, support the program, be good ambassadors, reach back to student athletes that are there now. I mean, and we want our student athletes to understand, when you choose Vanderbilt, you're now becoming part of a large community, and so having alumni around, it just illustrates that. I do want to say another thing, Bernard, just kind of going back to your previous point about the person who says, well, why now? How is this going to be different? I will tell you, it is different, right? So today it's not what you've seen before. And I know it's not. We have alignment every step of the way. And that, again, there probably are a million reasons why things were how they were. I don't know. I can only talk from sitting in the seat for a year. But I do know that at the board of trust level, there's incredible support for athletics. Mm-hmm. Daniel Diermeyer absolutely believes that athletics can be an integral part of Vanderbilt, can help us meet university mission, can offer spaces and ways to engage, the things that only athletics can do. And there is tremendous support. And that's why it's different, or that's why you should invest now. And I mean, it will take like a part of you saying, I'm not going to let the trauma of the past dictate what I do now. Mm-hmm. I think all of us have to do that. Yeah. I've been here a long time, so I've seen all kinds of stuff. Yeah. But if I approach this job that way, we would never get anything done.
Yeah, you can either get stuck in the past or get on board with the present and the future. And when you and the chancellor came out in March with the goal, the big fundraising goal, and the fact that a third of that $100 million was coming from Kirkland, that's my term, coming from the school.
Right.
Without really knowing, I dare say that's never been done at our school.
I'm certainly not aware of that.
If it has, where'd it go?
Right.
Well, Candice, we've got just a few more minutes, and I sure appreciate you taking some time.
Of course.
I want to know, when you go, you're on so many different national committees and boards, not just in Nashville and Tennessee, but with the NCAA and others. What makes you the most proud to wear your name tag or to announce that I'm Candice Lee from Vanderbilt? What makes you the most proud of that?
I think I know that I and we are having an impact on student athletes. I know that. Mm-hmm. And so from a mission-driven standpoint, like I am proud of that, because I know that that's happening, and I really, I know that we operate with integrity. I know that we have a long way to go, but we're doing it the right way. We're not going to skip steps, no shortcuts, but we're going to do it the right way. I feel really good about that. I know that we care about young people here. And so at the end of the day, I sleep good at night knowing that we take care of student athletes. We got stuff to do, but I feel good because I know that the motives are pure. And I think that's really important. I think we're all proud of that.
I know that you make some very tough decisions. Mm-hmm. I know that you don't make those alone. You have trusted advisors, you use your instinct and your experience. But you just said you go to sleep at night, you sleep well.
I'm usually just exhausted too.
Well, I was going there, and that's why I'm going to get you out of here. Guys, she hasn't had dinner. She's got more meetings after this. We're so lucky to have some time with her, and I really do appreciate it. But Candice, there are nights I'm sure you're up very late, and it's with the stress of your position. It's the responsibilities as well as the obligations. All of that I know comes together. But from my perspective, I see a person who enjoys her job, who looks forward to coming to work every day and just wants to make a positive impact. And guys, this is my comment to you in the audience. If you can't feed off of what you see and hear coming from the athletics department and from Candice, then you're not on board with what's going on. And if you're not on board with what's going on, then you're stuck in the past. So it's my plea for you guys to get on board. We may not win every game. We may not win a lot of games this year. Who knows what the fall is.
But we are expecting to win. And I want to be clear about that too.
And that's what I was just getting ready to say. Coach Lee just seems to have such a great approach on and off the field, away from the gridiron, with the media, with the families. I love the social media interaction. He brings the program, and this is my comment, or for you to please comment back. The way he presents the program to the public is unlike that it's ever been, at least since 1986 when I first joined the program. It's more accessible. He's showing you his vision. He's showing you why we need the student athletes that we need to come to the school. Is that coming from Coach Lee? Is it coming from the athletics department? Is it a kind of a combination? Do you see it in the other sports as well right now?
Great question. I think that I do feel like that's a thread that runs through the department. Mm-hmm. I don't want to take anything away from so one of the many reasons why he's the right person, why I know he is the right person, is because we are fully aligned with where we want to go and how we want to get there. Like I said, I'm doing a track search right now, right? So hired a new football coach, hired a new women's basketball coach, and now doing a track search. And in every search, I will answer questions for candidates, but I'm not going to recruit somebody to come here, because you have to see where we're going. Mm-hmm. And if I have to beg you, this is not the place for you because you don't see it.
Yeah.
You're going to run out of gas before we get there.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't have to do that with Clark. Clark understands what we can be, and he's got this very nice combination of being humble and coachable, but being very convicted mm-hmm. and confident. So, now that the dead period has ended and we can have recruits on campus every weekend so far in June, we've been hosting recruits. And so we start on Fridays, and we now call it the Lee and Lee show because he and I sort of do the official welcome. Mm-hmm. And it's beautiful, natural, organic interactions And because we are on the same page. And I sat the very first weekend, I did my thing and then sat down and watched him and just listened. And I am telling you, I went home and told my husband, he is going to be phenomenal. I already knew that, but to see him in action. And I told the recruits that were here last weekend that what you see, this is who we are. This is not rehearsed. This is not scripted. This is who we are. Right. And we are committed to helping you reach your potential. And we're crazy enough to think that you can get a world-class degree. You can live in one of the best cities. You can compete at the highest level in the SEC. And not just compete, but win. It's changing the culture. I know because I see it with my own eyes. How many wins does that translate to? I'm not worried about that because I am telling you the culture is changing and we are going to be fine.
And Coach Lee's already getting commitments.
Oh, he is. I mean, it's so every time there's a recruiting visit, so far this month, we do the deal on Friday, and then on Saturday mornings, I have breakfast with the recruits. And I'm telling you, these parents are blown away. And I just ask them straight, how's it going? What do you see? What do you think? They're blown away. And, I spend a lot of time with Coach Lee, but one of the best things that I've heard him say, and he said a lot of great things, is that we have to focus on standards above circumstances. And I think that same way with our department. And, listen, you hear the narrative out there. I hear all kinds of nonsense, and I have to remind myself that no one has the information that I have. And it's part of the burden, the privilege and the burden of sitting in the seat. And from an integrity standpoint, I can't spend all day correcting inaccurate narratives, because if I did, that'd be what I did all the time.
I'm sure.
Instead, I just have to show consistent action and operate with integrity and be myself. But I'm telling you, there is something special happening here. It's not me I'm not saying that because I'm here. I'm saying that because we got people who understand what we can be. We've got pockets of success. Tim Corbin he's the best baseball coach in the country. He's one of the best coaches, period, in the country. He has the best baseball program in the country. He is a great prototype. And the plan is to have sustainable success across the board. And I that's where we're headed. And I would love for everybody on here to be a part of it, because this is your home. You helped build this thing.
Gosh, I could talk to you for the next umpteen, but I can't. I'd be upset with myself if I didn't ask you about two more things to get you out of here.
Of course.
How is the athletics department handling the transfer portal? And I know your head just, it's every school, it's every program within the schools. We're no different, but how are we handling it inside to make it better for the kids who want to leave and for the kids who want to come to the school?
So, I think about the transfer portal the way I think about a number of external things that may change the way we do business. Listen, it's here. We need not run from it or pretend that it's not a factor. I think that we should be less concerned about the transfer portal and more concerned about building a culture that we're proud of, where we have it makes it easier, hopefully, to retain student athletes. Listen, you could do everything right and kids could still want to leave. But if you create a culture that you're proud of, then that means that you can then be selective about who you invite in if somebody leaves. Right. And so, you look at, the transfer portal is going to have an impact on rosters. You may see rosters change dramatically, but the reality is that we're not really worried about the transfer portal. Don't get me wrong. It's a factor. But what we've got to focus on is creating a culture that we're proud of, that kids want to be a part of.
I'm so glad to hear that response. You can't worry about what you can't control, but you can control what you can control. Yeah. All right. Last thing, name, image, and likeness. Has it passed in Tennessee? When does it go into effect? And how's the school going to handle that for the different sports?
So it has passed. We do have a state bill that's passed in Tennessee that will go into effect January of 22. Without going into, because name, image, and likeness is quite an interesting topic. But in an ideal world, ideally you don't want different states having different rules, because that creates a recruiting advantage. So is the NCAA in a position to be able to pass something? That's probably a whole nother discussion. But I would say that in an ideal world, you would want a federal bill. Don't know if we could have that by July 1. July 1, what's important about that date is that there are some states where their name, image, and likeness legislation will go into effect, and it will just apply to those states. What we are doing is, and I think this is actually going to be a space where alumni can be involved. I know I've heard from some alumni who would like to help from an educational standpoint. We certainly have alumni who run businesses and want to be supportive in that way. We are using starting with university resources. So we're partnering with our law school. We're partnering with the Owen School of Management, where there are people who are professors who are experts in personal branding and marketing. And I'm taking that approach right now because I know that the name, image, and likeness discussion is not over. So there are a lot of things that are going to change. At the end of the day, this is going to be a part of the student athlete experience. I want these young people to feel empowered, but also to be armed with information. And we will use university and alumni resources to some degree to just make sure that they have all the information that they need to make a good decision. But this is just part of being a contemporary student athlete, right? So
I was going to say, it's not our generation, that's for sure, or yours. No, but no. I saw a Big Ten school advertising or marketing, bring your brand here, we'll help develop it.
I mean, that's what we're all going to do. So you can call it whatever you want. Every school's got a fun, fancy name. We'll have a fancy name. You know, everybody's going to do that. But I am being really methodical about how we're building our program, because there are still a number of things externally that will impact how this happens day to day. So anyway, it's just going to become part of the experience, and we'll be ready.
We'll see how ready you are. If you can convince Kumar and Jack that the name, image, and likeness will bring them better off to come back again next season. And they're not coming back. They're going to be in the top
I do not have superpowers.
That's right. Well, Candice, thank you so very much for carving some time to really just answering some awesome questions and topics for us. We've been wanting to get you on the show, but we know you're so incredibly busy. But thank you for being there for us tonight.
I am humbled that you asked. I really appreciate it. Thank you for what you're doing and keeping our alumni engaged. To all the alums, I thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you now that the world is opening back up, and just know that you are always welcome here. Thank you.
Well, we look forward to seeing you Saturday night somewhere on TV.
So yeah, look for me. Now I'll be there. I'll be there.
Guys, as always, each Thursday night, conversations with Commodores. I can't always bring the likes of Candice Story Lee to the table. We've had some awesome stories. We got a bunch of folks lined up in the upcoming weeks. And again, continue to be safe. Root for our team Saturday night, 6 o'clock Central in Omaha. Hopefully Coach Corbin and the boys will bring home another title. Y'all have a good night.